All right, so Jimmy Dore did a video. It was posted over an hour ago now. The subject was third party, and he had Nick Brana, who was one of Bernie's 2016 people. He was also the one that's been calling for the People's Party, a third party called the People's Party. Um, I like Nick Brana, but his his thinking is conventional, uh, and and there's just so many holes in it. Uh, One, because he's thinking in terms of bringing in people to form a party individually and run them individually in different places. Now, I did a video on this before. I think it was like 4 years ago, plus or minus 1 year. Uh, and I said exactly how you can form a third party that will absolutely demolish both parties and would basically overnight take over the entire country. Uh, and basically, a you would have a uh, you would have a governance that would actually represent. And I explained how it would go from the local, from your town councils to your city councils, to your state representatives, to your federal representatives, to your judges, to your sheriffs, to your police commissioners, to your school boards, the EPA, all those agencies from both state and federal. It would include your mayors, your governors, your city town managers or city managers, whatever. It would cover the entire basis. You would have you would bring in your choices for your Supreme Court, and it doesn't matter if you have to wait. If you have to wait for those rules that you have to wait for them to either retire or die, because what you're doing is you're bringing in all the nominations as well of for the federal all the federal court positions, state court positions, the local, all of it. You would cover the entire gambit. And once you get into office, you basically say as the government, as a representative of the people who are the government, the backbone. You're saying to those people in the Supreme Court and in the federal courts and the state courts, get the fuck out. You're no longer needed. You're no longer wanted. And if you refuse, we're going to have you arrested. We're going to charge you with treason, and you're going to be going to jail. Period. That's how you do it. And so I made this video. And how you do it is not to run as an individual, but run as a group. And not just, you're standing in the state as a single person or a couple dozen people or a couple hundred people saying we're running, this is the positions we're running for, this is all statewide and this is also including the federal. No. You're running for all 50 states and the territories, and you're running in mass. So basically, what happens is everybody from the territories to the states, okay, and the ones that that are protectorates and so on and so forth, and you're running, and you're all in as a group. You're going from state to state, territory to territory, everywhere, and you're saying these are the people who are going to be representing you. These are the people that are coming from the local positions that have been chosen by community by the people of, from the local communities all the way on. They're representing all the 50 states, the territories, the protectorates. These are the people that will be put into appointments, and so on and so forth. They're going to go into your EPA, the FCC, the CDC, the EPA, and so on and so forth. They're going to go and whatever the name of the city, the state versions are. These are the people that are going to be doing the medical and law boards. These, all of them. This is what's going. These are the people that have been chosen, and so you're standing, and you got several thousand people standing together, and they're saying, we are a coalition. We are not a party. We are a coalition. From the community on, to represent all people of the United States and beyond. This is us. We are going to be the servants. You are the governor. You are the government. We are your representatives. We serve. And that is how you take over a party. This is how you destroy the parties. This is how you destroy the establishment. That's how you do it. Whether you want to take over the party, whether you want to start a third party, whether you want to destroy the entire thing and burn it down, that's how you do it. Because that means that you have the backing of 99% of the country. That's how you do it. And the power structure comes from the community, the local community, and extends outward in a coalition that's unified, and an infrastructure that's built so that there's communications between the communities. Between the communities, state, and then to the state, and then to the federal level. So what happens is when the locals, communities are talking to each other, and they find common ground as to what is making things bad, they in turn inform and dictate what the state's response is. So those who are supposed to be in positions of the state, they get their marching orders from the local community who have discussed what's happening. That's common. That's a common issue all over, and then they inform those in the state. And then the state ratifies and does what the communities have dictated will happen, and then that gets translated to the federal level, and the federal level nationalizes. That is how you govern. That is how we get a representation. This is how a government should work. Government is supposed to represent. If we don't have government, what we have is a dictatorship. What we have is authoritarianism. What we want is representative government. And of course, the federal level would be responsible for talking to the international. But again, the federal government would inform the state, and the state would inform the communities who are the backbone of the government. They in turn discuss what's happening, and then they get back and they say, okay, this is how we're going to handle it. But in the meantime, the federal level would have competent enough people who would say, who would either delay or negotiate to a certain degree that's not applicable until the communities get back, but is a temporary stopgap. And that's how it should work. And so the communities that make up the United States, the communities, which are the people, are the ones making the rules. And so that's how you do it. Those are the things that Nick Bronner doesn't consider. Because Nick Bronner is conventional. He's bought into it to a certain degree. He's more enlightened. He's more woke. He's more conscious. He's got better imagination and curiosity, which drives him and others. But he still has those blinders on, those metaphorical blinders. And if we want to break power, we need to be the power. If we want representative government, we need to understand we are the government. And that is the key. And we also must understand that we must be intolerant of racism, of misogyny, of bigotry, hypocrisy, and all that, because those are the ones that divide. Those are the ones that break cohesion. Those are the ones that give opportunity to the opportunists, the ones who have malicious intent, the ones who are driven by selfish, individualistic, materialistic gain, those who are weak, those who have no morals, who have no principles, who have nothing that can be considered powerful. They rely on deception. They rely on con. They rely on everything that we propose that we stand against, and say that's immoral, that's unethical, that's unprincipled. That is the reason why I say we need to have intolerance towards that. Because without that, you cannot have a representative government. Intolerance doesn't mean that you go out there and beat the ever-living snot out of them. No, you educate them. You inform them. You put some effort into changing their understanding by pointing out how it comes back to bite them in the ass, how it comes back to hurting them, how it leads to what we have today and what we've had for thousands of years. And if they don't want to, if they are incapable, then it is time then to take more forceful measures. Then it is time to lock them away or eliminate them. That's how intolerance should work. Intolerance is first inform and work to change that weakness into strength. If they refuse and they are being willful, then it is time to take more forceful measures. Lock them away. Keep working on them to inform. If that doesn't work and they still refuse, then it's time to take measures that are more permanent. That is my theory on intolerance. It's a natural theory of intolerance. It happens in the natural world. Because even in the animal kingdom, there is a level of intolerance. And we must understand we are part of the natural world. Because without that, we get the destruction of our environment. We get the destruction of economy. We get the destruction of our better instincts. Our better nature. We get all of that and more. And we get suicide, and we get drug abuse. We get consider others to be nothing more than commodities and expendable. And we consider and extend that to the living natural world as being expendable and commodities, rather than being the nurturing arms of a parent who gives freely without expectations, because that's what the natural world is. It's the nurturing arms that provides without expectations, and yet we assault it. We've been assaulting it. We've been killing the very thing that we all need. So, intolerance must become a factor because it is natural. It must not be mindless intolerance. It must not be unempathetic intolerance, which is why I put in, first we enlighten we work to enlighten and to give understanding and show how that misogyny, that racism, that bigotry, the hypocrisy, the lying, because it all comes down to a basis of lying to oneself. This falling into constant need to be children from birth to death, which is what the systems that we've been living under have been fostering for thousands of years. We have millions of physically grown people who are nothing more than children, crying and whining for comfort, and that comfort comes in the form of material, of immediate fulfillment, and understanding that material is somehow growth and security when it's the exact opposite. When we live under that system, we have no security, we have no morality, we have no ethics, we have nothing that we can call of value. So, anyways, thank you for watching.